A 5-year-old and his father are back home in Minneapolis after a judge calls their removal by immigration enforcement unconstitutional. Why federal agents took them to Texas tonight.
We got one last night with temperatures below freezing before we take a major warm-up. Stay tuned, we'll discuss those temperatures.
Happy Mardi Gras!
Shoppers of all ages are stocking up at this local Lafayette Mardi Gras store ahead of upcoming parades. Tonight, I'm talking with the owner of Beads for Less, who says sales were impacted by the weather. Good evening and welcome to Acadiana's News Channel tonight at 5:30. I'm Anna Fisher. And tonight we're learning more about President Trump's immigration crackdown amid ongoing protests. A 5-year-old boy and his father are now back in Minneapolis after a judge ordered their release from a detention center in Texas. ABC's Morgan Norwood is in New York with reactions from the Trump administration.
As protesters in Minneapolis take to the streets, a 5-year-old boy and his father, asylum seekers, detained by federal agents nearly 2 weeks ago and sent to a Texas detention facility, arriving back in the Minnesota city after a federal judge ordered the government to release them. This photo of Liam Ramos in a blue hat and Spider-Man backpack last month after he returned home from preschool, going viral as him and his father were detained. That judge says their removal from the suburban Minneapolis neighborhood was unconstitutional, writing, "The case has its genesis in the ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children." In this exclusive video, ABC's John Quinones was on what he calls an emotional flight with Liam and his father, Adrian.
The flight attendants were in tears, other passengers were in tears, the pilots were crying, they brought him into the cockpit. He was happy, he had a little Pikachu stuffed animal with him and a backpack, and his father was with him, and it was very joyful.
The Department of Homeland Security says ICE did not target or arrest a child, claiming that when ICE agents went to arrest the father, he fled on foot, abandoning his child. For the child's safety, one of our ICE officers remained, and the father told officers he wanted the child to remain with him. The father telling ABC News he walked a few feet ahead to shout for help. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says the Trump administration will appeal the judge's decision.
The body of immigration law is much different than our typical criminal process because of the administrative nature of what we do every day. And so to the extent that we need to appeal that judge's decision, I promise we will.
Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
In other national news, the partial federal government shutdown is expected to last at least until Tuesday. Some government agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security, technically ran out of money on Friday. The Senate passed a funding bill Friday, but the legislation would only give the department money for 2 weeks while lawmakers work to negotiate new standards for immigration enforcement. The bill now goes to the House for consideration. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told House Speaker Mike Johnson on Saturday that Democrats will not help Johnson pass the funding bill unless changes are made to how ICE operates. A House committee is expected to consider the spending bill tomorrow. Republicans hold a narrow majority in the House, and the funding bill's future is up in the air. Meanwhile, today is the first day the Transportation Security Administration is enforcing a new policy for travelers without a real ID. Passengers now have to pay a $45 fee in order to use an alternative identity verification system. TSA Confirm ID is an option for those without a real ID. Passengers can use the alternative ID for a 10-day travel period. Additional steps and information can be found on the TSA's website. Now, a real ID is one that's been specifically vetted by the DMV. Other authorized forms of ID include a passport or DHS trusted traveler card. The Real ID law was signed over 20 years ago, but wasn't implemented and enforced until May. We're going to get into today's news right here locally in just a few minutes. But first, we're set to see another freeze ahead of tonight here in Acadiana, with temperatures reaching as low as 30 degrees in Lafayette. Let's head now to weather with Acadiana weather expert Brianna Lewis to learn if it will warm up in time for work and school in the morning, or if we need to get bundled up before heading out the door.
Yeah, Anna, we are expecting another cold night in the 20s, so waking up tomorrow morning, you will definitely need the extra layers, but as we warm up for tomorrow afternoon, you most likely will not need the multiple layers, or you may not need even some long sleeves, as temperatures will soar into the mid 60s. So we'll actually have highs top out in the 70s later on this week, and then we'll also discuss some higher rain chances that are in store for this week as well. Now, as far as the temperatures this morning, it was a very cold start. We topped out at 22 here in Lafayette, about 20 in Opelousas, 23 degrees in Youngsville. We have since warmed up into at least the mid and upper 40s for most, but we'll really see these temperatures take a major increase ahead for tomorrow afternoon. And it is still very quiet here in the south. There is some snow occurring in portions of Wisconsin and Illinois. Not expecting that here in our area. Will stay pretty dry for the rest of this evening. Also, those temperatures, we'll see those take a dip after sunset back into the 30s and well into the early hours of Monday. May see some upper 20s out there across Acadiana. So to recap those conditions coming up tomorrow, frosty start to the morning in the upper 20s and low 30s. And check out those temperatures by the afternoon, topping out in the mid 60s. So we're at least talking about a 15 to almost 20 degree temperature jump ahead tomorrow afternoon. And also those rain chances are at 0%. So we'll at least stay dry over the next couple of days. But stay tuned. We'll have a look at those rain chances in the full weather.
Despite the weather, Mardi Gras season is in the air at Beads for Less in Lafayette, with shoppers from all over the South stopping in for those one-of-a-kind throws. Earlier today, I stopped by the store to ask about how business has been so far this season. But once I arrived, I didn't need to look any further, as the line basically wrapped around the store. Hula hoops, stuffed animals, toys of all shapes and sizes, and of course, beads as far as the eye can see. Owner Greg Grace has been operating the purple, green, and gold building since 2008. He says recent weather events minimally affected their sales, but continues to impact shipping orders.
Carenco parade, we did lose out on some business there with that parade not rolling, but it is a smaller parade that it has become in past years. The only impact we've seen a little bit is we do have an online store where we ship out literally all over the country. And, the parcel deliveries as far as with FedEx and UPS have been delayed getting to some of our customers who have ordered online.
Coming up tonight at 10, hear from members of a Lake Charles crew who are continuing a tradition by making the drive to the Lafayette store. And speaking of beads, we here at KATC are all about catching them while the parade is rolling, much like many of you out there. But what to do with them after? A good way to get rid of unwanted beads is by donating to the Arc of Acadiana Mardi Gras bead drive. This drive collects gently used beads to be cleaned, sorted, banded, and packaged by the adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities that Arc of Acadiana serves, keeping beads out of landfills and giving them a second life. To donate, look for the big yellow bins after any parade and drop in any beads you don't want to hold on to. Those beads will help stock Arc of Acadiana resale stores for the next Mardi Gras season, directly supporting opportunities for those they serve. Coming up, bitter and dangerous cold grips much of the U.S. after a rare southern snowstorm leaves cars stranded, flights canceled, and temperatures plunging. We'll have the details on that winter weather rocking the nation in just a little bit.
We'll also discuss how much rainfall we'll be expecting this week after the break. Welcome back, Acadiana. We still got high pressure keeping us dry today, tomorrow, and at least for the early part of Tuesday before this system starts to slide off towards the east and allow for that Gulf moisture to return, also increasing our rain chances as a cold front will be arriving by Tuesday night into early Wednesday. So as we look at our dew points coming up, very dry air mass now, but we'll see those dew points get into at least the mid and upper 50s by the time we get into late Monday and Tuesday, and this will be just the moisture coming in and really fueling those showers and possibly a few thunderstorms Tuesday night and Wednesday. But after that, we got that dry air mass returning again by the end of the week. So with the rain chances at its highest arriving Tuesday night, right now about 80%. So we're likely to see some widespread showers and a few thunderstorms passing through. May see that linger into the early hours of Wednesday, but after that, staying very dry towards the end of the week. And how much rainfall can we expect with this system? It's not looking too much for us in Acadiana. Those rainfall amounts are really staying under at least half an inch, may see upwards of 1 inch in a few storms, but not expecting this to be a drought busting rainfall coming up that Tuesday night, early Wednesday time frame. And this will likely be the only time we'll see rainfall over the next 7 to about 10 days. Now for the rest of this evening, it's staying pretty dry out there with the clear skies. Temperatures though getting into the upper 20s and at least the low 30s, so we'll at least see scattered to widespread frost waking up tomorrow morning. But temperatures very nice by the afternoon, topping out in the 60s for a Groundhog Day. And also those wind speeds a little bit breezy out there, upwards about 20 miles per hour gusting there. But Monday night into Tuesday, not expecting any below freezing temperatures for the rest of the 10-day period. We'll stay mainly in the 40s and 50s coming up over the next couple of days. But check out Tuesday morning, a few scattered showers in northern Louisiana will start to become at least widespread as we get further into the evening hours. And right now, pretty spotty around that 9 p.m. time frame for Tuesday, pushing through Acadiana at least around midnight before it exits out of our area well before daybreak on Wednesday. So this will most likely be a rainfall event for the nighttime hours and then drying out for Wednesday morning, and then by the afternoon hours on Wednesday, very dry, but temperatures will be a little bit cooler, only topping out in the 50s for a couple of days before those temperatures return or increase higher by the end of the week. So starting off with those temperatures tonight, mostly in the upper 20s for our inland parishes. Here in Lafayette and back towards Lake Charles, we'll see those temperatures a little bit higher in the low 30s. Even our coastal parishes, depending on where you're at, most likely seeing temperatures in the upper 20s and some low 30s out there, right around freezing. Now highs for tomorrow, very warm in the mid to upper 60s, and this will be the warmest day that we have seen the last couple of days. Lafayette will get up to about 65, New Iberia about 63, 64 degrees in Abbeville, and then for tomorrow night, well above freezing, the 40s and the 50s. Even those highs coming up for Tuesday, closer to the low 70s out there before those temperatures take a dip again. And to break down that 10-day forecast, 60s tomorrow, also for Tuesday, we'll see those temperatures pretty much drop off into the 50s for a couple of days. But check out Friday and next weekend, back to spring-like temperatures in the 60s and the 70s with plenty of sun to go around. Stay tuned and we'll have another look at the 10-day forecast later in the show.
Sticking to the weather, we're turning now to that winter storm and brutal cold affecting most of the country, including parts of the South. That storm stretching from Georgia to Virginia. Many still dealing with power issues from the last big storm, now facing dangerous conditions once again. ABC's Christian Cordero is in Virginia Beach.
Bitter and dangerous cold for many people across the U.S. following another winter storm that brought snowfall totals rarely seen across the South. Parts of the region from eastern Tennessee and northeast Georgia up to the Carolinas and southern Virginia affected. More than a foot of snow across some parts of North Carolina. Charlotte saw 11 inches. Governor Josh Stein says there's been more than 1,000 traffic collisions in the state from the storm.
Our key message today is to stay off the roads. That way you'll allow the road crews and law enforcement to focus on their essential tasks to keep us all safe.
Part of Interstate 85 shut down for hours, leaving people in more than 100 vehicles stranded on the highway. The North Carolina National Guard stepped in to help. This was the scene in Fayetteville, south of Raleigh. Penelope Lopez from station WTVD is there.
It's a light and airy snow. You can't really pack it into a snowball, but it definitely has covered all the streets here.
Further south, folks in Miami bundled up in pants, long sleeves, and jackets. Temperatures there about 20 degrees lower than normal. The Northeast is still digging out from last week's storm and sub-zero wind chills, as low as minus 25 in Syracuse, New York. In New England, Patriots fans braving the elements as they showed up to send their team off to the Super Bowl.
We got to deal with this terrible weather, right? But we have the Patriots.
Christian Cordero, ABC News, Virginia Beach.
As much of the country is firmly in the grip of this winter's wrath, millions of Americans fed up with the cold will have their eyes on a furry little weather predictor to find out if there's any end in sight. Puxatawney, Pennsylvania is ready for Groundhog Day. Tomorrow's commemoration has taken place at the Gobbler's Knob site since 1887. Visitors to downtown Puxatawny on Saturday enjoyed live music and warm beverages and snatched up plenty of Groundhog-themed souvenirs. Many visitors hope the Groundhog won't show his shadow tomorrow morning. According to lore, that signals the onset of an early spring. Kids are also returning to school tomorrow, and when they do, Lafayette Parish school system wants them to be warm, so they've decided to relax dress codes for students Monday, allowing them to wear sweatpants. And a reminder, only K through 5th are allowed to have hooded jackets.
A downtown block party kicking off Black History Month. I'm Paris Flanagan reporting here in Lafayette Parish, here at the Downtown Convention Center, where the community gathered to celebrate the first day of Black History Month, remembering and celebrating one historic Lafayette neighborhood.
Plus, something else kicked off today in Acadiana, a contest calling all artists to participate. Find out what it is and how you can get involved after the break.
Sunday afternoon, a block party took over the Downtown Convention Center here on Buchanan Street as the community came together to celebrate the first day of Black History Month. I'm Paris Flanagan reporting here in Lafayette Parish as the community members of all ages came together sharing stories, memories, and honoring Black history with a special focus on one historic Lafayette neighborhood. A block party marking the first day of Black History Month brought the community together to honor a historic Black neighborhood known as Fightingville. Sunday afternoon, a panel of people with direct ties to the area shared stories and history from the more than 150-year-old neighborhood. Panelists spoke about a time when Fightingville thrived, home to Black-owned businesses and a popular place for entertainment, music, and culture. Organizer Michael Williams says events like this are important.
I think I learned that this is important to be, to do these kind of things, because at the end of the day, it brings us together. We get to share our stories, and that's the only way they live on, is if we share them.
Tonight at 10, I'll take a closer look at Fightingville and share the stories of the people who called it home. Panelists say they hope that today's generation can help preserve the history of Fightingville and keep that history alive for future generations. Reporting here in Lafayette Parish, I'm Paris Flanagan, KATC TV3.
The Atchafalaya Basin keepers kicked off their spring photo contest today, looking for photos that showcase the beauty of the basin. Neighbors can now submit their favorite photos of the basin for a chance to win prizes and have their work recognized, all while helping to inspire others and appreciate and protect the basin. The contest runs through February 10th. To learn how you can submit a photo, head over to KATC.com. After the break, we're getting you ready for the new week with a few heads up across Acadiana. From road closures to events to keep in mind, we'll have all the details in a few minutes. Stick with us. Here are a few things to keep in mind heading into the work week tomorrow. In Iberia Parish, crews will begin improvements to El Dubois Road. They'll be patching asphalt between Avery Island Road and the recently reconstructed area just past Wilton Road. During construction, lane closures and detours are possible, so expect delays and use caution when driving through the area. That's expected to last 4 weeks. A similar reminder to our neighbors in Lafayette Parish, where the city of Scott is scheduled to begin work on I-10 South Frontage Road between Mills Street and Park West Drive tomorrow. The project will include a full reconstruction and a new road overlay, so this stretch will be closed to traffic for a full month. Detours will be in place for neighbors traveling through the area. Also happening in Lafayette Parish tomorrow, Once Was Incorporated and the Lafayette City Marshal are hosting a meal of remembrance in observance of National Freedom Day. This holiday honors Major Richard Wright, the first African-American to serve as a U.S. Army paymaster. It also memorializes the signing of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery and involuntary servitude in the U.S. All veterans and their spouses are invited to participate in the event happening at Paul Davis Park from 11 to 12:30 tomorrow.
Opening day is on the horizon for UL softball, and they brought the fun to the ballpark. I'm Anthony Council to take you inside the dugout for Fan Day.
Plus, we'll have another look at what we hope to be our last freezing forecast for a while with meteorologist Brianna Lewis later in the show.
It's one of the most anticipated days on the calendar, Fan Day for softball fans. A chance for fans to check out UL softball players and everything that's on the calendar for this season. It's a day for fans to experience an up-close look at softball action as many fans filled each seat to watch UL prepare for a season that they will not forget.
What's y'all's favorite thing about baseball or softball?
Winning.
Winning? I love it. I love that answer.
Okay, what are you most excited about for softball season?
I'm excited to get to see how all the players work together and if they win. I'm excited just to see the energy and the teamwork come out of them just throughout the season.
I'm looking forward to seeing how our new coaches, we got 2 new coaches, one for the pitching and one for hitting. And we're kind of to see if maybe we can hit that ball out of here a few times.
Coming up at 10, I'll show you how Fan Day meant a little more to one local family. Anthony Council, KATC Sports.
Stay tuned after the break. We'll have one last look at the 10-day. So tonight will be our last night below freezing. After that, we're expecting temperatures to be well above freezing, except for 2 nights. It'll be on the chilly side in the mid-30s, but at least we'll have some spring-like temperatures coming up. Thank you for joining Acadiana. We'll see you again at 10.
That's all for us tonight at 5:30, but we do still have more news ahead at 10, so be sure to tune back in. We hope to see you again then. Acadiana, have a great evening.